Hello, hello. We are the Transpositions. And
Live! We're alive!
and maybe a little loud. I'm loud. Am I loud? Let us know how our volume is because we always have audio issues at the start of the show. Hey, Steph. How's the
Hey,
sailing
Bre.
going?
Sailing's good. Sailing's very good. Won a sailboat race last night. It was very fun. It was very, very fun. Light air and uh, you know, it's fun to be out there again. It's
Yeah,
fun
I
to be
love that you
like
get to.
I was walking down the dock to drop some stuff off on the mini boat. And, a fellow sailmaker walks up to me and says, "Steph, you still got it." And I go, "Well, what?" And he goes, "I was watching. You were trimming the spinnaker better than anyone in the fleet last night. Except you blew one jibe." It's like, well, yeah, I mean, 9 times out of 10.
Blowing one jibe
But
means something completely different in El Paso.
I don't know what it means in El Paso to
I
blow
will
a
not
jibe, but
elaborate.
maybe I don't want to know. Maybe I don't want to know. But anyway, it was fun. It was great fun. And yeah, it's summer in Maine, The 2 days of summer that we had one of them.
I need to get up to Maine one of these summers, though, or maybe spring. I don't know. When's the best time to visit Maine?
Oh, well, it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, it's kind of an all seasons place. If you like skiing, it's obviously not summer. If you like sailing, obviously not winter. If you like messing around generally, just about any time. I would avoid black fly season. That's never any good. That's May, pretty much. That's not good.
Yeah. Bugs don't really bother me, though. If there's anybody else around, they'll eat them instead. I was just talking to Steph about this earlier, but I wanted to elaborate on it. Yeah, someone just told me. So there was this post complaining on some Facebook group or something. And the guy was like, it was a post about
someone's complaining on the internet. What the fuck?
It was a post about it was a post about Pride Month, which, by the way, this is our first episode of Pride. So I just wanted to say Happy Pride to everybody. Happy Pride Month from the Transpositions. We hear you, we see you, everybody from across the spectrum of rainbow. Every one of you is precious to us here. So thank you for sticking with us. But in one of these posts where it's like, oh, when's Straight Pride Month nonsense, or when's Men's Pride Month? Someone mentioned, well, June is Men's Mental Health Month, and went on to post like 9 paragraphs about men not having the support networks and stuff that they need. Really valid stuff, right? Which is fine. But I said, I said, you can care about more than one thing at a time. It's easy to do. It's something that everybody can do. You can care about more than one issue at a time, and it's okay to do so. But we can't hear you, Steph. I don't know what happened to your audio.
What happened to my audio is that I muted my mic.
Oh.
And I forgot.
Oh.
But what I was saying was, you can be proud every single day of the year.
You don't have to wait till a certain time.
You don't have to wait for one special month. And it doesn't matter who you are either.
Right. And so someone had the audacity to tell me I wouldn't understand. I spent 40 years walking in those men's boots. I think I can qualify for understanding quite a bit about what goes into the hardship of being a boy. Aw. Hardest thing about being a boy was being a girl and being forced to be a boy. I'll tell you that, because you all self-police this type of behavior that you're complaining about, where there's no support network for men talking to men. I can't tell you how many times as a man that I would reach out to my friends, other men, for support, and get told to like take that shit elsewhere because men don't talk about that stuff. So it really does shoehorn you into, depending on women, to be your outlet. If you allow your in-group to police yourselves like that. And you're going to regret it when one of your friends does something stupid because they're having a really hard time if you aren't there to support them and tell them to go someplace else with it. I just wanted to put that out there before we start, that at the start, before we get too far into the show, because it's been bugging me all day. Anyway,
here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And I want to talk about Pride Month again here with our first opening story, which is going to be, the Florida stuff where DeSantis like, oh, no Pride Month. We have to have, you can only do red, white, and blue between Memorial Day, Labor Day, or whatever. Jacksonville.
4th of July, right? It's 4th of July?
4th of July, yeah.
Do we get that? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so it's from Memorial Day to 4th of July, yeah. Florida prevents Pride Month bridge lighting, so Jacksonville LGBTQ plus community does it again. For the second year in a row, Pride Month celebrants lit up a bridge in downtown Jacksonville with high-powered handheld lights after the state continued to block the use of rainbow colors on lighting systems wired into the bridges across Florida. This is crazy. The history books are going to remember this. Like, remember when the state of Florida banned rainbow lights in June because they didn't want to support gay people, and then the next year they banned. Get this, this happened. They banned chemtrails in Florida, right? They have banned chemtrails in Florida.
Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
And then Louisiana went and followed in suit and banned chemtrails just this last week.
Sure.
Because, chemtrails, that's the real threat. Chemtrails and trans people or queer people in general.
Sure.
Not these oligarchs that are, never mind. Did you have, by the way, no. I know right in the middle of this topic with the lighting, did you happen to notice the queens were fighting? Queen Elon and Queen Dawn.
They are at loggerheads, I guess. One says it's a big, beautiful bill. The other says it's an abomination. I tend to go with the abomination side of the picture, but for different reasons, obviously. Because Elon just wants to take all the money. I mean, he just wants all the money. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. That money's not going to me. So the hell?
Yeah. Well, he called Trump out for being on the Epstein list on Twitter this evening, earlier this evening.
Oh, really? I missed that. Listen.
Oh, yeah. It's really started unfolding.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I have been going out of my way to avoid any drama whatsoever at the moment. Just trying to.
Well, I don't blame you.
Suck up every day, because actually, life can be good that way. So I'm just sort of doing that, and so I'm here now, and dealing with the absurdities. It's just every day is another absurdity, and it's just I don't know.
Constant absurdities.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to our opening story.
I was distracting things. Yeah.
I derailed it with the talk about the Elon and Trump battle. The
Ember
display.
He also confessed to election engineering, which is okay. That
Yeah.
seems to be about right.
Right. And he said that he's publicly saying, hey, I blackmailed you for these contracts. What are you doing? I'm going to tell everybody that you were on Epstein's Islands and release the tapes of you doing stuff on there. That's what he said on Twitter. He's like, I blackmailed you for this. Why are you backing out now publicly on his own platform? He's a freaking, it's gotten crazy.
I love it. That's good.
Yeah. The display
it's the old thing when your enemies are fighting, throw them an anchor.
Right.
Here you go.
Have at each other. I'll arm you both. The display by LGBTQ plus community and its support on June 1st originally was going to reprise the handheld lighting of the Main Street Bridge a year ago when the Department of Transportation replaced the Pride Month lighting colors with red, white, and blue theme for its Freedom Summer. Yeah, that was Freedom Summer from Labor Day to Memorial Day, or Memorial Day to Labor Day, or what the hell?
Freedom from
the gays.
Rainbows.
Freedom from rainbows. Okay. But in a last-minute change this time, organizers moved to the nearby Acosta Bridge after the lift span of the Main Street Bridge went up as about 150 people were marching to take their place on it. Oh, that's nice. They lifted the bridge when they were going to march on it. We have a plan.
That's precisely what the people of Portsmouth, New Hampshire did when the British tried to prior to the march out of Boston to Concord in 1775. They did the same thing in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, except they didn't quite manage it because the colonials raised the drawbridge and they couldn't get across. It's like, oops.
Yeah. We have a plan B, organizer Matthew McAllister called out from Bullhorn. The group left the Main Street Bridge to the Acosta Bridge and lined its pedestrian walkway where they simultaneously turned on sets of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple lights. A short distance away, the same array of lights glowed from atop the CSX headquarters building in the downtown skyline. Pretty. There's a picture of it. I don't know if we can get a bigger.
Hey, that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, it wants us to pay for a bigger picture. I'm not going to do that, but
no, I don't think so. They probably want you to buy that couch too, and the bed. By the way,
mm-hmm.
There's a couch and a bed there, folks.
Yeah.
For all of you folks in Jacksonville, hop on down. Go for it.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, Jacksonville's getting super gay. All right, so that was our top story. Now, I didn't mean to do that. Yes, I said OPE. I'm not actually from El Paso. I'm from the upper Midwest, so I will continue to say OPE. And you're just going to have to deal with that as a live screen scene. Yeah, that's my native OPE. When something accidentally happens, like if you dropped your ice cream, OPE. Or if you wanted to,
it's oops.
Or if you wanted to scoot past somebody in a crowded bus, excuse me.
Yeah.
You bump into them and say, didn't mean to knock you down there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So judge rules federal prisons must continue providing hormone therapy to transgender inmates. How you like them apples? Yummy.
What they're putting hormones in apples now?
I want hormonal apples.
A judge an apple a day. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. I've heard that.
Yeah, that's the rumor on the street.
Yeah.
A judge has ruled federal prisons must continue providing hormone therapy and social accommodations to transgender inmates. This is a federal thing too. So the Federal Bureau of Prisons must continue providing hormone therapy and social accommodations to hundreds of transgender inmates following an executive order signed by President Donald Trump that led to a disruption in medical treatment, and a federal judge ruled Tuesday. U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth said in his ruling, a federal law prohibits prison officials from arbitrarily depriving inmates of medication and other lifestyle accommodations that the Bureau's own medical staff have deemed appropriate. The judge,
that you see, the problem here, I think, on a more serious note, the problem here is that eventually, give them enough time, and all of the prison officials who deem such care appropriate will be cashiered, and only people who enjoy tearing the wings off of butterflies will be employed by the Bureau of Prisons. So that's the sad reality of the whole thing. It's like, well, yeah, okay. Oh, you deem it appropriate to treat trans people as if they're human beings? You're fired.
Yeah. The judge said that transgender inmates who sued to block Trump's executive order are trying to lessen the personal anguish caused by their gender dysphoria, the distress that a person feels because their assigned gender and their gender identity don't match. In light of the plaintiff's largely personal motives for undergoing gender-affirming care, neither the BOP nor the executive order provides any serious explanation as to why the treatment modalities covered by the executive order or implementing memorandum should be handled differently than any other mental health intervention, the judge wrote. The Bureau of Prisons is providing hormone therapy to more than 600 inmates diagnosed with gender dysphoria. The Bureau doesn't dispute that gender dysphoria can cause side effects. Hold on, I've almost finished this paragraph, including depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts, the judge says. So they want their cake and they want to eat it too, right? Go ahead.
Sure they do. But my question is, this is the federal prison system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the federal prison system.
Do you happen to know by any chance how many people are incarcerated in the federal prison system?
I do not, but I bet a quick Google search.
Well, I think that's worth a Google right here. That is worth a Google. Let's see. How many people?
I've come up with the number. In 2022, the U.S. prison population was 1,230,100 individuals, a 2% increase from 2021. So over 1 million people. And then 600 of those people.
Yeah, I'm just going to narrow it down. How many in federal prison?
Well, while you're doing that, I want to say, was I talking about having their cake and eat it too?
As of May 29th, 2025, there are a total of 156,761 people held in federal prisons. Okay, so out of 156,761, 600 trans people are in stir with the feds. And this is obviously a huge problem.
Right. Yeah. Obviously that's where all the prison funding is going is for the estrogen tablets for those 600 people.
Or testosterone, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
again, it's another instance of this is a huge problem because exactly why. It's ridiculous. It doesn't matter what the issue is, right? It doesn't matter whether it's trans people going to the bathroom, trans people uh, uh, participating in sport, trans people going to the library, trans people getting a passport, trans people living their lives. It's a huge problem because a minuscule number of people piss off the government so much that they want to take away their means of actually living a decent human life. And it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
I just saw something fucking ridiculous that I just now noticed. Look below my name on the screen, and it says the TRA, which is what the freaking chuds call us. That's so ironic. The trans rights activist.
Yeah, well, whatever. I'm just saying, it's just 600 people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a main huge story that the court system has to be tied up in knots about. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Such a waste of money and such a waste of time. And the only reason it's happening is because people are ugly mean.
Do you see Karleigh backstage? I see her messages, but I don't see her.
I don't see her backstage.
Hmm.
Let me shoot another. Maybe she's got the wrong link.
She's chatting in the private chat. She said hello just now. I don't know what's going on. I don't see her back there. But that's weird. Anyway,
it's wicked weird.
Maybe try popping out, coming back in, Karleigh. I'm not sure what's going on.
Maybe the Republican. Maybe that's the thing to do.
Yeah. The Republican president's executive order required the Bureau to revise its medical care policies for so the federal funds aren't.
There she is.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there.
Hi, Karleigh. Hey, can we take a break for just a second and say hello to the folks, My Unfinished Journey and Titan Uranus?
Yeah.
And who else is here? Is that Haley? Haley's here, and of course Ember's here. Ember's in the chat. Come on in if you want to. Yeah. Ember, I know you're all kinds of busy. Lena's here.
Hey, sweetie.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for showing up. We really appreciate it.
I'd be happy to have Lena come on too. Of course, I'd be happy to have Titan come on, but Titan would never come on.
Some
how are we doing, people?
Had success in enticing Titan Uranus.
I just want to know, how's everybody doing tonight?
Hey, Karleigh.
Fantastic, but it's going to get better.
Good? Are we good? Are we happy? That's a good thing.
Yes. I'm good. Hope you are well.
Hey, let me shoot.
I can't complain. I can't complain at all. This has been it's been a wild last couple weeks, and I was watching the stories backstage, and see, that's what gets me. Everybody's so fixated on this prison thing. I mean, you know what? Why don't we put more of our energy in keeping people out of prison? I mean, we have a prison problem in this country. After all, we incarcerate more people than any other country in the world. So I'm just wondering, what is it about this country that where we have to put so many people in jail? I don't know. Could it be profit? Because prison is a growth industry.
Maybe.
And the way this economy is, this is the last growth industry you got. And as for the little lovers quarrel between Elon and Trump, you know what? I'm just sitting back with get your popcorn ready. This is going to be fun.
Let them fight.
Now, on the downside, though, as a as a football fan, just got the news that Aaron Rodgers, the NFL's resident quarterback, anti-vaxxer, conspiracy theorist, and a person who believes that there's a such thing as the trans woman movement, is about to become the new head coach of my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So to be clear, I've had a trans woman movement before. Usually after taco night.
only in West Texas. But I mean, I never thought I would see the day when I was hoping that a Steeler quarterback looks like Johnny Unitas as a Charger. That's how low I am on picking up Aaron Rodgers. I am nostalgic for Bubby Brister right now. But just to note while I'm here, what's in Transposition Sports tonight? And for once, I don't have to crash the clip in at the last minute. The clip is ready. And tonight we're gonna look back at the week that was. After all, we had that massive weekend out in California where basically one of the biggest stories in sports was a trans girl who can jump pretty good. And we've got that for you. Also, Veronica Garcia. You know what? Years from now, Veronica Garcia is going to explain to relatives how I got booed 2 years in a row at the state track meet just for winning. I mean, adults, transphobic adults, they're strange people. And we're going to take a deep dive into how the Fourth Estate was not on their job, with one notable exception, because there was a story in the Oregonian this week that answers the question, one of the burning questions throughout this spring: what happened to Ada Gallagher? Well, we have that answer for you. That's coming up in Transposition Sports.
Excellent. All right. Let's pop right back into this story we're covering here. Okay, so the Republican president's executive order required the Bureau to revise its medical care policies so that the federal funds aren't spent for, quote, the purpose of conforming an inmate's appearance to that of the opposite sex. Lambert's ruling isn't limited to the plaintiffs named in the lawsuit. He agreed to certify a class of plaintiffs consisting of anyone who is or will be incarcerated in federal prison. The lawsuit names plaintiffs including Alicia Kingdom, a transgender woman who was prescribed hormone therapy injections and approved to receive social accommodations, including women's undergarments and cosmetics. Kingdom was denied her hormone shot 3 times after Trump signed his order, but she has had it restored roughly a week after she sued. Her access to feminine undergarments hasn't been restored, according to the judge's ruling. Give the girl her fucking underwear, you weirdos. Good God.
You know
what do they gain? Go ahead, Karleigh. I'm sorry.
You know something? That's David Allan Coe wrote a song about this. Hashtag just saying.
Yeah.
And if
David Allan Coe wrote a lot of songs, though.
If you're into some serious 1970s era country, you know the song too.
Yeah.
Bonus points for anybody in the crowd who remembers that song. If you know that song, put it in the chat.
I know lots of David Allan Coe songs, but I don't know which one you're talking about. I'll say it from this end.
I don't know the song.
Who the hell I don't know she? Telling all them that they can't be free. Throw that bitch in prison. Maybe then you'll see what all those goddamn homosexuals mean to me. That's the song. David Allan Coe right now.
It occurs to me that Sheriff Joe Arpaio actually made guys wear women's underwear. I mean, and he's one of Donald Trump's heroes. I don't understand what the problem
Wait a minute.
is.
Wait a minute. What was that, Stephanie? Wait. What?
Was that in Afghanistan?
No, that was in Arizona. Do you remember Joe Arpaio? You don't remember Sheriff Joe?
Oh, Sheriff Joe.
Yeah,
I don't, but
no, I remember. Oh, never
just saying.
him. He was an odd. I mean, he was to the right.
He was an asshole.
He was to the right of John Birch, if that's possible. I mean,
it is possible. He was to the right of Attila the Hun.
I mean, he is what G. Gordon Liddy would be if G. Gordon Liddy had a badge. That's what he was.
Or a candle.
That too. But I mean, this is I mean,
it's so stupid. All of this is so stupid. The whole thing is ridiculous. And the worst part is people are buying it. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, of course they're buying
honestly.
it.
People are buying it and they're reacting freaking violently. They're reacting like this
thing. Oh, this thing. Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean, we're seeing.
Really, bruh. Really, bruh.
Yeah, Tennessee trans woman who was brutally attacked at storage unit speaks out. And we actually got to see they're pretty aggressive towards her.
Wait a minute. Wow. See.
What the fuck?
Wow.
That's freaking
Tennessee, right?
This was location. Hold on. Yeah, Tennessee. Transgender woman in Tennessee.
Everything.
Says she's lucky to be alive after she was viciously punched in her public storage unit. The attack was captured on surveillance video, which has since gone viral. So, I mean, this has been happening more and more. Just it was just a couple months ago we had this one. Actually, I have here. Yeah, we'll pop it over here. Oh, can you all not see? Hold on, I have to switch which screen I'm sharing. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all could hear her or not, but
and start fighting a little bit. He started touching me.
The 61-year-old got away from him and called police, but in the days after, she and police say the suspect came back multiple times with other men, threatening to kill her while physically attacking her, pepper spraying her, and in one incident, throwing an unknown liquid at the victim while another suspect attempted to tase her.
Now we close it early because I scared he come and killing me. I don't want to die. I got a little girl.
So, dark days.
Yeah. Dark days.
Very dark indeed.
And we wonder why
and again, it's like that dark and stupid.
It's not to the people that are doing it, because the fact of the matter is our lives aren't worth anything. And that's the way that in many ways this has been for a long time now. And it's only going to get worse. And I'll admit, scared. I mean, it's scary right now to be trans in this country. I mean, you can't. I mean, They go after. I mean, I have just seen. I mean, you're going to be watching a video later on Transposition Sports of adults booing a kid, booing a child. Last week we showed you the parent of a trans child being accosted by an elected official, a person who wants to run for statewide office in California next year, accosting the mother of a trans child. Narita Hernandez, like I said last week, it would be justified in slapping the living daylights out of Sonia Shaw. She would be justified in doing so. I mean, come on. We have the sitting governor of Nebraska, who, by the way, signed more anti-trans legislation yesterday, saying the men and boys in Nebraska know how to take care of it if somebody goes into that wrong bathroom.
Oh, God almighty. Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Pillen. Hey, Jim, I got a question. Governor Pillen, got a question for you. How do you think Tom Osborne will respond to you, one of his former players, now a governor of a state, the governor of my home state, inciting violence against someone, especially most likely inviting violence, most likely against some kid in school? I wonder how he'd take that.
You know, there
I'm
was
just
this
wondering.
thing in Oklahoma, like last year, you know, child lost their life because
Geez, Oklahoma.
so,
I mean, we are now truly a country that's half partially safe and half unsafe. We truly live in the return of Jim Crow America, at least for trans folks. It's Jim Crow America, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear a single person tell me I can't make that comparison.
And people of
You
color
go to hell
too.
if you
I
ever
mean,
tell me that, because I know what discrimination looks like when I see it.
I'm happy
This
to hear you
nasty-
say it, because when I say something like that, you know, people go like, "Oh, you're white and privileged. You don't get that." But you've lived the black experience.
Bree, you tell him I said go. You tell him I said go to hell. I just saw somebody who's black like me knock the living daylights out of somebody who's trans like me. You tell me what the difference is. You can't.
there is a reason that in our community, in the trans community, black women of color, and well, women of color generally, are most at risk. I mean,
We know this. I mean, duh.
Bree, you and I have
look
a
at me.
certain vestige of privilege in that regard, but it's
Right.
a very slim thing. But you know, definitely
Well,
in the
as
trans
true as that,
community,
Stephanie, as true as that is, we can't keep hiding behind that when we see things that are know is wrong.
that's right.
We need
That's
to.
right.
You call out right and wrong when you see it. You call it out, and to me, especially given that all right now, if you're not white and male in this country, you're a target. Let's just be real about this. I mean, let's seriously step into some brave space and let's really do this. And let's really talk about this, because the big question is, what kind of America do you want? And that's what we're really talking about here. What America do you want? Do you want Dred Scott America 2.0? Because that's what you have right now. That's what you have.
Yeah. Well, John Roberts is bucking for Roger Taney 2.0. So there you go. That's our problem. That's one part of the problem here. You know, it's a bad situation.
It's sickening all the way around when you see, and now we're in Pride Month and already the nonsense is starting. The nonsense is already starting, and it's scary. And again, you're going to be watching video of adults booing a kid, and nobody can tell me you can't hear the boos, because the boos are going to be, yes, I'm going to be running the bulls side full so that you hear and understand. These were grown people. These were grown folks. I mean, these people really do not care. They are okay. If they could, they are. Oh, we have a country right now that's truly losing its mind.
Losing?
It's true.
Right?
Oh, it's
You're
probably
close to
lost it.
lost.
And
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this because I'm going to give you a piece of coming attractions. This week, I mean, I'm working on getting an interview with somebody with a transgender person who's doing perhaps the most American thing you can do, or definitely in the top 5 of most American things you can do. They serve this country. This person is in our armed forces. I'm not going to give too much away, but we're working on getting this interview with a trans person who is an officer in our armed forces, someone who's been decorated, someone who's been dedicated to this country, someone who has spoken out for trans people in the military. And if they can be a target, a person who has been shot at for their country, anybody can be a target.
Truth.
And speaking of interviews coming up, and it's going to be sports related too, because it's our she's been on the show before, Sarah Weiss, the pickleball player,
Pickleball queen. Yeah.
Yes, she recently accepted an invitation last minute to come on and debate with Piers Morgan. So she did go on there and tried to use her voice. They really did not allow her to say much, but we're going to talk about it, and hopefully we'll have that ready for you next Thursday for the weekly show.
When was that? Because I want to watch it.
It's earlier this week. Yeah, it's out. Yeah, hold on. I can see if we can find a supercut of it or anything on his channel. Here we go. Yeah. So this was Sarah on Piers Morgan with Tommy Lauren, of course.
Categorizing what is femininity.
Suddenly, everybody wanted to be on the transgender train, and then everything had to be changed.
Suddenly, everyone wanted to be on the transgender train.
Suddenly.
Yeah.
It was sudden.
What the fuck?
Oh, Fascist Barbie was on there.
But they don't give Sarah much time to talk. But Piers does.
Of course they don't. You said it was 3-on-1.
Well,
see this with our own eyes.
This doctor here is actually on Sarah's side.
Dr. Helen Weberly. She's awesome.
Yeah, and this was about Amani Khalif. It's what the topic of discussion was in her lab results.
We're going to be talking about her on Transposition Sports too. The whole thing with Amani Khalif.
And the ridiculousness of saying, "Oh, she has these chromosomes, so she's a man." I just cannot stress enough how how much that doesn't comport with science, I guess is the best way to put it. Anyway, but I'm not going to watch this whole Sarah thing here because we're going to have her on next week to talk about it. If not live, then we'll have a recording. But one way or the other, we'll be chatting with Sarah about her appearance on Piers Morgan's. But yeah, you have some Amani Khalif info coming up too.
Oh,
excellent.
We're gonna break down. We're gonna break down the whole thing with Amani Khalif. It's ridiculous, but a lot of the show is going to be about what happened as far as the high schoolers, and also a deep dive again into how the press completely missed this story. And the press completely missed the story. Last week I mentioned the column I wrote in Outsports about it that ran on May 29th about the CIF policy, and I also spoke at length last week on Transposition Sports about my vehement opposition to the CIF making this ridiculous policy and trying to sell it as a compromise. But the real sad thing is a lot of people seem to like this. Even one of the co-founders of Outsports, Sid Ziegler, supports this, calling it a noble compromise. And to me, it wasn't a compromise; it was a capitulation. It was bad. as a transgender person, I hated it because it othered a trans person. It othered. A.B. Hernandez was effectively othered and relegated to second-class citizenship. And by this move, but at the same time, as an athlete, it cheated the event, it cheated the kids, all the kids, because it basically said a transgender girl is not a girl, and cisgender girls suck at sports. That's what it said. That's what that said right there, to appease the Trump, all to appease the Trump administration. I mean, come on. And also, we also have a side story in Transposition Sports about the school district in Connecticut that's actively said, all right, down they're doing what Maine did. Fine, see you in court. You sent us a nasty gram saying that you're going to pull our funding. We'll see you in court. And there is a link to somebody who you may know in all this Strumlin drang. A blast from the past will also be mentioned tonight as part of that story, because that person is the reason why Donald Trump is going after a school in suburban Hartford.
Right. Well, yeah, I got that, so that we're good to go on the sports segment. So excellent. Anything you all want to touch on before we pop into that good news?
Actually, yeah, I love that cowboy hat.
Oh, thank you. I got a pink one and a black one. They're super cute, huh?
So I'm just wondering, so does El Paso have pride?
Yes, El Paso is a very queer friendly city. There's there's a district downtown. It's the gay district. They got a rainbow crosswalk that's maintained and regularly repainted. The University of Texas, El Paso is a really queer friendly school. Yeah,
good old Texas Western.
Yeah, it's a whole different culture here. Where this is Texas, but we're in El Norte. This is El Norte, right? We're in northern Mexico. Yeah, the culture here is very Mexico. It's only
is Beto O'Rourke going to show up at El Paso Pride?
I don't know. We're going to we are going to a Pride pub crawl. So if you want to see me in El Paso, I'll be at the Pride pub crawl on the 20th or the 21st. And you come and say hi to me. Let me see. It's going to be fun. I've never been to a Pride pub crawl before.
Really?
Have you?
Well, I've got a little pride. Hey, Stephanie, what about you? What's the Stephanie Helms plan for Pride, if there is one?
Well, I was actually browsing for a photograph of regatta in 2019 that was on Portland's Pride Parade Day, and me and my team, we won the regatta. And there's a photograph of I had made a trans flag that I displayed proudly on the boat on the dock after we won the regatta, and I gave a little talk at the award ceremony saying, "Hey, this happens to be Pride Day in Portland, Maine, and I couldn't be more proud of my team and of you all for the support you've given me throughout the years. And this year, I'm running that regatta."
Nice. So what's it like running a regatta?
You get to be either the greatest hero or the worst goat on earth. You set the table for these people who are out to have a good time, and you just try to give them a good race, a fair, good race. That's what it's like. And it's very stressful. I would have to go into the intricacies of what sailboat racing is in order to give it fair stuff. But maybe someday, maybe that will be the comeback on my channel. I'll tell you what it takes to run a sailboat race.
What you got for us, Karleigh?
One of my big, Well, this weekend, my football team, the Connecticut Ambush, we have our Pride game. And one of the posters in advertising for the game, they put some journalist on there who's kind of LARPing as a football player. I mean, seriously, they put me in the ads.
Oh, you look gorgeous.
I mean, that was one of our preseason pictures. I did a preseason shoot with an excellent photographer, young trans dude named Sam Giardina. In fact, Sam is right now in the middle of building a nationwide project as part of Pride Month where he's going across the country and getting Pride stories and taking photographs, and his work is fire. I mean, he's one person I want to bring on bring on the TransPositions, because this is a very young, talented dude who does some great work, and he's done these amazing photo collages of talking about trans life and transition and trans activism and just being who you are. And I mean, he's done like four like coffee table size photo books on this stuff. We did a project together back in April about trans women belong in sports, and it was a beautiful, beautiful project. And he's somebody I'm looking to bring here because he's done this worldwide. And one of the things he's doing, he's planning a big queer trip to Thailand this fall as part of a big photo shoot to look at the trans world across cultures. So I mean, that's a piece of his work that was on that photo, was on that poster right now. And just want to and that's one thing I'm going to be doing throughout this Pride Month, is pointing out people that you may not know, but I think our community should know.
All right. Well,
all right.
I look so much forward to your sports segment this week, and hopefully this Pride Month we have a lot of good stories coming at you all, both in and out of the sports arena. But I'm probably gonna maybe do some shorts from our Pride Festival. I encourage you to do the same, Karleigh, when you get out there, and stuff. If you manage to get out to a fest, yeah.
I'm definitely gonna be getting out to a Pride. I mean, one Pride I'm definitely doing is West Hartford Pride, and
excellent.
In fact, I'm gonna be working a couple tables of that one. I've been asked to speak at it, so. And I mean, during this week, there's going to be a lot going on during the Pride Month. So we're going to, happy Pride, everybody. I'm looking forward to what's ahead, because this is going to be a very different Pride Month, to be sure.
Yeah, it is. And I think that, I think it's important to show the pride wherever you are, and just be showing people that we're just folk is good, and showing them that we're at risk right now and we need their help is good too.
Exactly.
Let's roll right into that good news, though.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Give me some of that Ember Belrad.
They gave me the medal I deserved. They gave her the medal that she deserved, and sharing the podium was nothing but an honor. As a part of the queer community, I want A.B. Hernandez to know that we all have her back and we all have her support. Although the publicity she's receiving has been pretty negative, I believe she deserves publicity because she is a superstar, she's a rock star, she's representing who she is. And to be up there with her, that was amazing for me, honestly, yeah. I'm really proud of us both.
everyone! Tonight, new trans history just dropped. Research restored. Suddenly, Shakespeare. And more. Good news starts right now. First up, San Francisco has announced Harper Steele will be the Grand Marshal for their 2025 Pride Parade on June 29th. Viewers may recall Harper from the recent hit documentary Will and Harper, which followed the comedic Friends trip across the U.S. Harper formerly worked on Saturday Night Live, where she met Will Ferrell and became one of his best friends. So the film follows the course of their reconnection after her transition, as she also tries to reconnect with the real America under the politics and culture wars. The film brought her name to a new level of fame, but her influence in American culture through comedy has been around for decades, including being head writer for SNL from 2004 to 2008, and even an Emmy win in 2002. San Francisco Pride has been an annual event since 1970. Like New York City's Pride, it began to mark the first anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. Long considered one of the safest places in the world for GSM people, San Francisco's Pride featured the debut of the original flavor of Pride flag in 1978, and the community there has often led the March of Progress when it comes to securing and protecting gender and sexual minority rights. That's certainly worth a celebration. The parade traditionally takes place the last weekend in June. Longtime viewers may recall the name Eli Ehrlich. She's been a very busy trans advocate for a long time, from helping to found and popularize trans student educational resources, the only national organization led by transgender youth, to the guerrilla installation of a Marsha P. Johnson statue in Christopher Park, which was so good it was retroactively granted a license to be erected by New York City. Eli has done a lot of other things, far too many to list here, but the most recent is one we've been waiting for since nearly the first episode of Good News: a book on trans history. From the publisher, highlighting influential individuals from 1850 to 1950 who are all but unknown today, Eli Ehrlich shares 30 remarkable stories from romance to rebellion and mystery to murder. These narratives chronicle grit, joy, and survival of trans people long before gender became an everyday term. Organized into 4 parts paralleling today's controversies over gender identity: kids, activists, workers, and athletes. Before Gender introduces figures whose forgotten stories transform the discussion. Some of the featured folks include Mark and David Farrow, 2 of the first trans teens to access gender-affirming medical treatment following overwhelming support from their friends, family, and neighbors. Gerda von Zoblititz, a trans countess who instigated an LGBTQ+ riot 40 years before Stonewall. Frank Williams, a young trans man who was fired from over a dozen jobs for his gender. And Frances Anderson, the world's greatest female billiards player of the 1910s. Bold and visionary, Ehrlich's debut uncovers these lost stories from the depths of the archives to narrate trans lives in a way that has never been attempted before. As you know, trans history is a passion of mine, so I, for one, am thrilled this book is finally out. A couple of years ago, the state of Utah commissioned a study to evaluate the impact of gender health care for trans youth. Last week, they got the results, and the facts over feelings crowd found themselves with a big heap of facts that didn't comport with their anti-trans feelings. From Mother Jones. In 2022, Utah Governor Spencer Cox was the rare Republican governor who seemed to truly care about the well-being of transgender kids. Quote, "I don't understand what they're going through or why they feel the way they do, but I want them to live," he wrote in a letter that year, explaining why he was vetoing a bill that would have banned 4 trans middle and high schoolers in Utah from playing on sports teams with classmates who shared their gender identity. Quote, "All the research shows that even a little acceptance and connection can reduce suicidality significantly." Meanwhile, nationally, Republican politicians were making opposition to trans rights a core tenet of their platforms, filing hundreds of bills attacking trans kids at the doctor's office, at school, and on the field. Early in the 2023 legislative session, Cox capitulated, signing a bill that placed an indefinite moratorium on doctors providing puberty blockers and hormone therapy to trans kids with gender dysphoria. The bill ordered the Utah Health Department to commission a systematic review of medical evidence around the treatments with the goal of producing recommendations for the legislature on whether to lift that moratorium. Quote, "We sincerely hope that we can treat our transgender families with more love and respect as we work to better understand the science and consequences behind these procedures," Cox said at the time. Now, more than 2 years later, that review is here, and its conclusions unambiguously support gender-affirming medical care for trans youth. Quote, "The conventional wisdom among non-experts has long been that there are limited data on gender-affirming pediatric care," the authors wrote. However, results from our exhaustive literature searches have led us to the opposite conclusion. The Medical Evidence Review, published last Wednesday, was compiled over a 2-year period by the Drug Regimen Review Center at the University of Utah. Unlike the federal government's recent report on the same subject, which was produced in 3 months and criticized gender-affirming pediatric treatments, the names of Utah's report's contributors are actually disclosed on the more than 1,000-page document. The authors write, "The consensus of the evidence supports that the treatments are effective in terms of mental health, psychosocial outcomes, and the induction of body changes consistent with the affirmed gender in pediatric gender dysphoria patients. The evidence also supports that the treatments are safe in terms of changes to bone density, cardiovascular risk factors, metabolic changes, and cancer. It is our expert opinion that policies to prevent access and use of gender-affirming hormone therapy for treatment of gender dysphoria in pediatric patients cannot be justified based on the quantity or quality of medical science findings or concerns about the potential regret in the future, and that high-quality guidelines are available to guide qualified providers in treating pediatric patients who meet diagnostic criteria." In the second part of their review, the authors looked specifically at long-term outcomes of patients who started treatment for gender dysphoria as minors. Overall, there were positive mental health and psychosocial functioning outcomes. Patients who were seen at the gender clinic before the age of 18 had a lower risk of suicide compared to those referred as an adult. Submitted with the review was a set of recommendations compiled by advisors from the state's medical and professional licensing boards, the University of Utah, and a Utah nonprofit hospital system on steps the state legislature could take to ensure proper training among gender-affirming care providers in the event it decides to lift the moratorium. But according to the Salt Lake Tribune, legislators behind the ban are already dismissing the findings they asked for. In response to questions from the Tribune, Representative Katie Hall, who co-sponsored the 2023 ban, issued a joint statement with fellow Republican State Representative Bre McCune, the chair of the legislature's Health and Human Services Interim Committee, that dismissed the study's findings, saying, quote, "We intend to keep the moratorium in place," they told the Tribune. Young kids and teenagers should not be making life-altering medical decisions based on weak evidence. Why ignore their own review? Polling, the legislator's statement suggests. Quote, "Utah was right to lead on this issue, and the public agrees. Polls show clear majority support both statewide and nationally. Simply put," they said in their statement, "the science isn't there." Despite the fact that the science is there. That was what the study was for, and they have it now. Now, as Republicans once again blatantly lie about the facts they themselves paid for, we can take two positive notes to heart. First, we have yet another very comprehensive study to add to the literal mountain of evidence supporting gender-affirming care. Second, that even the most bullheaded Americans are quickly coming to realize if a Republican says something, the opposite is more likely true. In other research-related news, the Trump administration's order that erased transgender people, history, and medical data from government systems has itself been deleted. From Reuters, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration on Friday to restore articles by doctors and medical researchers that were removed from government-run websites focused on patient safety because they contained references to transgender people. U.S. District Judge Leo Sorokin in Boston sided with two doctors from Harvard Medical School whose patient safety articles were scrubbed from the website after Republican President Donald Trump signed an executive order requiring agencies to remove all statements and policies promoting, quote, gender ideology. The articles had been published on the Patient Safety Network, or PSNet, an online patient safety resource. It is run by the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, which is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The judge agreed with the doctors that the removal of the articles was, quote, a textbook example of viewpoint discrimination that violated the free speech protections of the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment. Quote, this is a flagrant violation of the plaintiff's First Amendment rights as private speakers on a limited public platform, the judge wrote. Sorokin ordered the administration to restore not just the two doctors' articles to the PSNet, but all other content authored by private parties that was removed from the website pursuant to Trump's executive order following a word search for items that contained certain terms. Rachel Davidson, a lawyer for Drs. Gordon Schiff and Celeste Royce at the American Civil Liberties Union of Massachusetts, in a statement called the ruling, quote, a victory for free speech and public health. As has long been established, medical science needs to be able to acknowledge the reality of trans people, but just as important, healthcare that includes trans people makes healthcare better for everyone. On the eve of a trans pride march through London, Sir Ian McKellen will host an all-transgender and non-binary production of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, and there's much ado about it. Directed by Phoebe Kemp, the production will take place on July 25th to coincide with a planned trans rights march through the Crown City and backed by a new theatrical company dubbed Trans What You Will. McKellen, a longtime GSM community advocate as well as a lifelong Shakespearean actor, will take the producer's post for this one. The production will also include a trigger warning alerting viewers to the fact that the comedy contains, quote, Shakespearean humor. Conservative snowflakes, be warned, these aren't your puritanical family values. Director Kemp said, quote, Twelfth Night already toys with gender and performance. It feels like Shakespeare wrote it for us. This reading is about joy, solidarity, and showing what's possible when trans and non-binary artists are at the center of the story. Organizers of the acting troupe said, quote, we believe in the importance, now more than ever, to provide opportunities for those under the trans umbrella to come together and make us laugh and cry and show the world how precious and wonderful gender diversity can be. Twelfth Night is known for the comedic tropes of mistaken identity and gender-swapping disguises. Twins Viola and Sebastian are shipwrecked on an island ruled by lovelorn Duke Orsino. Viola, disguised as a boy, falls in love with Orsino, who is in love with the Countess Olivia. The Countess, meanwhile, falls in love with Viola, whom she believes is a man. In the end, all cases of mistaken identity are resolved and the main characters are paired off for marriage. The play's new version will not be the first time that casting decisions on Shakespearean works have been used to aid diversity and boost minority representation. According to The Telegraph, London's Globe Theatre has consistently staged gender-fluid productions in which famous roles are played by people of either gender. In 2022, for example, the theater made Joan of Arc non-binary. The Maid of Orleans, a saint who led the French fight against the English in the 100 Years' War, was given the pronouns they-them rather than she-her. Anti-feminist campaigners complained that the move was an example of female figures being erased from history. Though this performance, a one-night-only show, will be held in an independent theater in London, the labors will not be lost, as the production is expected to be streamed online as well. So fans of the Bard, as well as supporters of the community, are encouraged to enjoy and be party to one bright light of trans culture. One final note of less than good news to report. Due to ongoing and worsening medical issues, in part a result of the assault I survived this past January, the good news segment of TransPositions Weekly is going to be intermittent for the foreseeable future. I will continue to produce this show as circumstances allow, because I believe in the importance of putting a spotlight on what positive news there is for trans people, especially now. I just won't be able to do it every week, at least for the time being. But rest assured, there will be good news still in the days ahead. So, if you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. TransPositions Weekly is the first and only weekly trans news show in the universe, and we need your support to keep this show going. Contribute at patreon.com/TheTransPositions. Spread the word all over social media to let people know we're here. And tell us what stories matter to you by joining the community on Discord. Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by yours truly. And if you enjoy gender pride, or envy, wrath, greed, or any of the other genderful ways to aggressively exist, join us. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the Transpositions, I've been Ember Belrad.
All right. Hello. Just wanted to do a quick follow-up on this little story that I mentioned early last month, I believe it was. It's just some fan casting of Hunter Schafer as Zelda has turned like the Chud world on its head. They are not happy about our beautiful Miss Schafer potentially being cast as the elf princess Zelda in the upcoming film based on the Nintendo game. So recently, Schafer herself was presented with the proposition just in an interview. I thought it'd be fun to see what she had to say about that too. So here's just Hunter real quick talking about the casting.
You seen a TikTok go viral about a fan wanting you to play Zelda in a live-action movie?
No, I did not.
Yeah, is that something you'd be interested in or a role you would like to pursue?
I mean, yeah, that would be cool. Like an elf? Yeah. And I mean, I played that video game a bunch when I was a kid. That's such a good game.
Yeah, I see it. Anyway, you seen a TikTok go viral?
So she does seem like she'd be interested in the role, which is cute as hell because she really does fit the vibe. I mean, let me go back to what we were looking at a minute ago there because it had their side by side. Look at this. Really, it's right there. I mean, who would argue that she doesn't have the perfect appearance to play this character? But Chuds be getting mad about it. I'm trying to find there was a guy that was like, I'm a transphobe, but and then he's like, I actually think this is good casting. It was crazy. It's like, well, there you have it. All right. Well, I just wanted to pop in and give a quick update on that and tell you what Hunter Schafer said herself about the topic. I'm going to kick things right over into sports so that that Karleigh can take the field, as you say. Let's see.
The archaic legacy of sex and gender testing returned to amateur boxing, and Imani Khalif is at the center of controversy again. A.B. Hernandez had her day in the California sun, while protest and arrest tried to dim it. Competitors spoke out and supported her.
And as an adult, you shouldn't be hating on a 16-year-old.
But questions about inclusive policy and the Trump administration's attacks on California remain. In Washington state, a repeat victory and repeat ranker for Veronica Garcia, but the champ clapped back. The latest target of the Trump anti-trans crusade was met with calls for action and a school board standing up. There was pride and joy at the start of June, but we also look at the fear, loathing, and boobs. Got it in gear with the cat ears. Hello again, everybody, and happy Pride. This is TransPosition Sports. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb. Right up front, Imani Khalif, Olympic gold medal boxer from Algeria, has been ordered by World Boxing, the new world governing body for amateur boxing, to subject herself to a sex test. The governing body put forth the pending policy in a statement last Friday. The introduction of mandatory testing will be part of a new policy on sex, age, and weight to ensure the safety of all participants and deliver a level playing field for men and women. Now, World Boxing officials also named Khalif in their statement. 2 days ago, they apologized to Algerian boxing officials for naming her, but they did say in their original statement that she must undergo sex testing to take part in any world boxing competitions and will be barred until she does so. Now, the Algerian fighter, along with Taiwanese gold medalist Lin Yu-ting, were subjects of scrutiny last year after both allegedly failed a sex test during the 2023 World Championships by the International Boxing Association, the previous governing body that was charged by the IOC to run the Olympic tournament. The IBA were stripped of their accreditation by the IOC, citing issues of corruption, which included the lack of transparency and due process for the cases of both Khalif and Ting. And after further investigations, the disqualifications of both were found to be misleading, given that both had competed for years previous without incident. Now, World Boxing is the second governing body to announce that it will engage in chromosomal testing that the IOC previously abandoned in 1999. World Athletics, the track and field global governing body, announced in March that a sex testing program would be in place prior to their World Championships this fall in Tokyo, Japan. Now, since the Olympics, Khalif has publicly discussed her future plans. Most recently, in an interview with Sky Sports, she said that she seeks to defend her gold medal at the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, despite threats from the current presidential administration. The U.S. State Department has also hinted about not even allowing her into the country in 2028 due to the presidential executive order on February 5th that would ban transgender women from entering the United States for the purposes of competing in sport. Here's what Khalif said back in March.
Your dream would be to win Olympic gold.
The second gold medal, of course.
A second gold medal in America.
In America, Los Angeles.
Donald Trump has not been very polite to you. Does that concern you?
بالنسبة لهذا الشيء يعني راح نجاوبك بسؤال واحد. يعني رئيس الأمريكي هو دار قرار، هذا قرار يخص الدولة الأمريكية، ولكن أنا حبيت نوضح أنه أنا مانيش متحول جنسي، يعني ما يخوفني ولا شيء، لأنه أنا الحقيقة مانيش متحول جنسي.
Two of the biggest stories in the trans inclusion debate played out in state high school track meets on the West Coast this past weekend. In California, CIF championships at Clovis, Jurupa Valley High School junior A.B. Hernandez had a big meet, tying for the win in the high jump with two other competitors, finishing second in the long jump, and winning her specialty, the triple jump, with a leap of 12.87 meters. That's 42 feet 2 3/4 inches if you're scoring at home, to win the state title, sort of. Second best in terms of distance, Kira Grant Hatcher for St. Mary's College High School was at 2.32 meters, but due to the CIF's regulation change from last week, Hatcher is awarded a gold medal and considered a state champion alongside A.B. Hernandez because, well, God forbid we put a cis kid second place ever. Now, away from the competition, there were protests on the ground and in the air. There was even an arrest when a pro-trans supporter broke a car windshield of an anti-trans protester. But among the athletes, despite the CIF ruling and the drone of ugliness, there was camaraderie in competition. Young athletes embracing each other, even if they knew deep down the CIF rule change was a joke. I'm telling you, many of the adults could learn from the kids.
She doesn't deserve any of the hate. And as an adult, you shouldn't be hating on a 16-year-old.
Just to push me to want to be better is amazing.
But that was a stark contrast to the Washington State High School Track and Field Championships in Tacoma over the weekend. Veronica Garcia, senior from Spokane East Valley High School, defending Class 2A state champion at 400 meters, her state's first transgender state champion in any sport, took to the 400 through a lot of hostile adults, and she did it again, winning the 400 meters in 55.70 seconds, her second straight state championship. And unlike Hernandez, it seemed that the transphobic attitudes of the adults rubbed off on the kids, such as the case of second place Lauren Matthew. She's from crosstown rival West Valley in Spokane. And after finishing second first, refusing to get on the podium, later held up a sign saying that she is the real state champion. Oh, by the way, when Garcia got her gold medal, this happened.
In a time of 55.70 from East Valley of Spokane, Veronica Garcia.
Yep, adults with the booze. Now, Garcia responded with a good deal of grace. She stated to the Spokane Spokesman Review, quote, "Maybe it didn't have the intended effect considering it made me angry, but not angry as in I wanted to give up, but angry as in I'm going to push." But she also brought some vinegar when it came to the booze. She said, quote, "I'm going to put this in the most PG-13 way. I'm going to say it's a damn shame they don't have anything else better to do. I hope they get a life, but oh well. It just shows who they are as people." Now, some people are going to say Garcia wasn't gracious and didn't take the high road. I disagree. This kid largely has taken the high road for the last 2 years. Veronica Garcia is 17 years old. She's a teenager getting booed by adults, some of whom have a political agenda. And the kids took that agenda. Lauren Matthew and some of her teammates did, even when they won an event. They won the 4x400 relay, where East Valley with Garcia as part of the quartet was third, and they still took a shot at her. Matthew was quoted as saying, "I feel like instead of people talking about our success, they talk about the success I had while racing a biological male. Like, oh, I got second to a male, or Lauren did this. It's not talking about my accomplishment personally. It's about I did this because he did this. So I feel like I wouldn't be talked about if he wasn't there." The misgendering, that's what gets it for me. Matthew was outdone by the Tutwater High School track team as a whole. I mean, earlier in the week, in front of their high school, they had a big banner saying XX versus XX first over XY, a lot of anti-trans nonsense. And their relay team at state wore shirts saying, "Keep girls sports female." And their school board did pass a resolution against trans girls in sports. So Tutwater High School pretty much said where they are. But you want to know what the real sad thing is? Not a single person stood up for Veronica Garcia. No one at least had the humanity to say that the booing wasn't cool, no matter how you feel about the situation. Not even in her own school, apparently. But the hardest part about all of this is how the schools and the educators stood silent and had this kid standing alone in the moment. Yes, the state of Washington, according to policy analyst Aaron Reed, is the most trans-friendly state in the union with the best protections, at least by law. But where were the people? Where's the press? We'll look at that a little later on. But how about a little pride and joy before the break? Grand Slam track in Philadelphia, Nico Young, men's 3000. That kick is fire, baby. Young getting the win in the 3000 and reserving his place in the final Grand Slam round in the Olympic City, Los Angeles, later this month. And Trey Cunningham, for a model, he can run pretty fast. Dominant effort at Grand Slam Miami, backed it up by winning the hurdlers 100 meters and then finished third in the 110 hurdle. And Nikki Hiltz, they was doing what they do. Usual, fast, strong, at least in the 1500. They were a little behind, but they still rallied to third place. They fell back to seventh in the 800 the next day. Year in the guess in the 1500, in the 800 rather, was third, then the 1500 ended up seventh. This was also among the first sporting events as we headed in to Pride 2025, and Hilt, they set the right mood.
Yeah, Pride Month's really special. It's, you know, it's a time for everyone to celebrate, like, finally being able to show up as themselves, and even for people who aren't out yet, it's a celebration, but it's also a protest of, like, you know, that started with riots at the Stonewall and led by Black trans women, and I don't know, it's really awesome and special, and I'm just really proud to be queer, and I'm proud of the community around me, and yeah, I just really felt the love out there. For sure.
When we return to Transposition Sports, Pride and Resistance, as a school board targeted by President Trump refuses to bow down, and the story of the past weekend and how the fourth estate missed the story. That and more to come. This is Transposition Sports. Stay with us.
Meow, yeah, 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 meow, yeah. Wait a minute, Kitty's gonna get it. 4 paws in when I'm standing on business. I'm the kitten, all the rhinos bitten. This show can't handle all the kittens that I'm getting. I'm not a beginner, no, I'm a winner. Hurry up, Karleigh, go get me my dinner. If Karleigh can spit rhymes, so can I. I'm Kirby the Cat. We'll be back.
But this is another example of how you just hate us. You just hate us. You just hate us, say Riley. You know you're really dumb. Still upset that a trans woman won. It's been 3 years, girl. Ain't you tired? Leah is a champion. You're still a whiner.
I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe.
She tied for 5th place and now she'll cause trouble. Riley Gaines is there. Riley Gaines, a real American transphobe. Riley Gaines is there. It's been 2 years, she's still jealous of Leah, and the trophies both look the same. Showed her transphobic ass for all to see, and Leah Thomas lives in her head rent-free. Riley Gaines, a real American transphobe. Riley Gaines is there. Riley Gaines is the mouthpiece of conservative America's anti-transgender special mission force. Her purpose? Help take rights away from transgender Americans. All because she finished 5th at NCAA's and became a spoil sport loser. She won't shut her mouth, she's a well-paid bigot, and Riley does not care. Riley Gaines! Riley Gaines!
I interrupt Transposition Sports because I'm cute, and I can. And for this message from the angry gay grandpa. You don't pay me enough for this, Karleigh.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Welcome back to Transposition Sports. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb. There was trans joy in resistance earlier this week. The Trump administration has made a point to target school districts and universities who uphold inclusive policies with an eye of going towards schools that had previous high-profile transgender student athletes. One of those is Cromwell High School, Cromwell, Connecticut, which got a letter from the Department of Education basically holding a funding gun at the head of the district, saying either stop letting trans kids play or we cut your funding. And you only have a week to decide. Now, why was Cromwell targeted? Because of a transgender girl, no, a transgender woman who got a graduate degree from Columbia a few weeks ago. Andrea Yearwood, state champion for Cromwell High 8 years ago. She graduated from Cromwell in 2020. Since then, she's been an undergrad at North Carolina Central, and as we mentioned just a minute ago, she got a graduate degree from Columbia. That's Ivy League if you're scoring at home. She is why the Trump administration is going after her alma mater. Well, a group of 50 protesters had a rally prior to a Cromwell school board meeting on Tuesday night. Now, why were they there? To speak out.
I'm here, and Transhaven is out here to stand in solidarity with the students here at Cromwell High School, the trans students and all the students here. They're under attack right now by the federal administration, who is, threatening them with cutting off funding, amongst other things, simply for supporting their students and creating like a healthy environment for their students to learn and grow in.
Trans girls are girls, trans boys are boys, and there are non-binary individuals who have needs as well. If the students, who are the principal people for whom the education system is built, recognize the basic humanity of their peers while they're preteens and teens, the least adults could do is take notice and look to a model of inclusivity and decency.
The response of the school board to the Department of Education letter, which was essentially a cease and desist aligned with Trump's previous executive orders, was not today. The school board said as such because those edicts violate Connecticut state laws. And without federal legislation, we're under no obligation to go along to get along. Now, Cromwell officials said that they are working with state legislators and the state high school sports governing body to continue to seek a resolution to the matter with the federal government. Now, the state of Connecticut is among a group of 18 states, all Democratic run, that are suing the Trump administration over this and other edicts.
Just trying not to get in my head and just relax, but it's a little harder this year. So, last year, everyone was no one cared. But this year, it's just different because all of a sudden everyone cares.
What they want to instead do is target children, literal children. Why do grown adults think it's okay to harass a child, let alone a transgender child?
In a time of 55.70 from East Valley of Spokane, Veronica Garcia.
It's Pride again, and in 2025, one thing is clear. It's going to be a lot less corporate because the big corporate money, it's shying away. Rainbow capitalism is fading away, largely because of the anti-LGBTQ and anti-trans slant of who else? The Republicans.
Transphobia for a stronger America.
There will be no rainbows at the White House this year. In fact, the White House is saying that this June is Title IX month. Now that's rich given everything the GOP's done to kill it since a Republican president signed Title IX back in 1972. And it's interesting that you have President Trump talking about backing up women's sports in Title IX when some of his previous policies towards women sounded a lot like this.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the...
Notice the press isn't talking about that, and notice how they've covered the situation that went on this past weekend in California. Everything has been about either the protests, the threats, yet nothing on this CIF policy, which basically othered A.B. Hernandez while trying to cover that part by trying to sell the support for A.B. as support for a compromise, where only A.B. Hernandez and kids like her have to compromise. Now, one thing I will give is some kudos to Capital in Maine. They're a California-based news media outlet, and they did give time for A.B. and her mother to tell their story from their perspective, even if it gave equal footing with the professional transphobes like State Assembly Representative Sonia Shaw, as unhinged as she is, constantly picking fights with Nareda Hernandez. And that leads me to the next critique, or lack thereof. Why not some time to trans voices in California who may disagree with the CIF policy? Now, anti-trans activists got all the camera time, but who spoke up for A.B. Hernandez or any other trans youth in this moment? Riddle me that. As much as I critique the situation in California, Washington State was far worse because no one stood up for Veronica Garcia. Her school didn't, her school district didn't, the press really didn't, not even her head coach did. And when she was the subject of the news stories, it was never her story. It was balanced with the voices of a lot of transphobes, be it elected or unelected, and maybe a neutral press release comment from the WIAA. A lot of time was given to the transphobes who are being egged on by the professional transphobes, and some are going to say that Garcia is the problem, especially with the way she clapped back and told people, get a life. Well, again, I agree with her, and I don't blame her for her frustration. She was right in saying that and right in calling that out, and she probably had more to say, but wanted to just take the step back and enjoy the win, and I can respect that. But I can't respect adults booing a kid. And I equally can't respect how young athletes would allow themselves to act in a classless manner. You know, all the things we teach young athletes about class, grace, sportsmanship. Tutwater's entire track team seemingly forgot that. Especially those kids wearing those t-shirts on that podium at that moment, no matter how you feel about that. Putting it there on that podium, that's just bad sportsmanship. And I'll say it right now, if I was a coach and those kids did that, it'd be a cold day in hell before you ever ran for me. And the same thing with Lauren Matthew. To all those kids, I have a question for all of you. First, to your high schools. Do you realize that the message you sent is that LGBTQ students aren't safe at your high school? Trans students are not safe at your high school. Even though the state law in Washington says otherwise, you sent that message. And I'll say it. Are black and brown kids safe at your high school? Because I really believe if you scratch a transphobe, you'll find a racist underneath too. And I also ask that of all the kids, the Tutwater kids who wore those t-shirts on that podium, or Lauren Matthews, who felt the need to be photographed holding a sign saying, I'm the real state champion when you finish second. All of you, some of you are going to return to your high school next year. Some of you may go on to college. And I want to ask you a question. As you matriculate forward or return to your high school, is an LGBTQ student in your school safe around you? Are black and brown students at your school safe around you? Remember, scratch a transphobe, find a racist. Would a teammate in high school or college who's LGBTQ be safe around you? Think about that and think about your actions this weekend, because it's a big, wide, wonderful world out there. Hashtag just saying. Now, to A.B. Hernandez and to Veronica Garcia, congratulations to both of you. You performed well in a very difficult situation. You rocked, and I salute you. And I know it wasn't easy, but just know I'm proud of you for the dignity you showed, the class you showed, and the grace that you all showed. And also a shout out to those kids in California who stood at the side of A.B. Hernandez, and those who said openly and publicly, we don't care about the noise. We're athletes, and we're going to carry ourselves as athletes in the highest regard. That's the way that my first coach and my dad taught me to carry myself as an athlete. And he's looking down at all of you proudly. Finally tonight, I want to give a shout out and kudos to someone in the Fourth Estate who, as my dad would say, done good, done real good. Bill Oram, lead sports columnist for the Oregonian newspaper, was the only journalist who last year, in the middle of the controversy over Ada Gallagher, who actually wrote the real story and took a lot of people to task for booing a high school kid. He did it with a mix of fury and with honor, befitting the best of the profession I'm proud to be a part of. Well, Mr. Oram did it again this past week. He told Gallagher's story in greater, even more human detail that you're looking at. You're looking at the headline right here, along with staff photographer Beth Nakamura, whose photography was excellent. See, you're probably wondering, where was Ada Gallagher this season? Oregon State track meet was also this past weekend. Gallagher wasn't there, and you remember her from last year. State champion in Oregon's Class 6A at the 200 meters, and a runner-up in one of the best races of the last high school season, a titanic clash against Joni Donaldson in the 400 meters, where Gallagher lost by just a hair. Gallagher was injured in a meet back in April and was out for the season. But before then, she was doing what a high-level track athlete does against kids who are running track for the gym class credit. She was dominant, and she drew the ire of the Outkicks and Fox News and all those folks again. Oram posted the story in the Oregonian this past weekend, which told Gallagher's story, an intimate portrait into a young girl trying to figure it all out and play the sport she loves. It was revealed in the story that after this school year, Gallagher and her family will move out of Oregon and move to Canada because the climate here has gotten so toxic, especially in the last year. You remember, this kid got booed at the state meet just for being a transgender girl who enjoyed her sport and was good enough at it to win a championship. And Oram gave us a portrait into this kid, a human portrait. Something that many news outlets in this country, big and small, yes, New York Times, I'm looking at you, refuse to do. It's something that a lot of news desks and stations in California and Washington State refuse to do. Mr. Oram, I'm proud that you're part of the craft and profession that I'm a part of. Again, you done good. You done real good. And as a journalist, as a trans person, and as an athlete, I say thank you. Happy Pride, everybody. For Transposition Sports, I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb.
All right, ladies, how we feeling about tonight's production? What do y'all think?
I enjoyed putting that one together.
Yeah,
I really did. I enjoyed it.
Oh,
Even if
yeah.
it was that bad. Even if it was a rough week with the nasty transphobes going at kids.
Yeah,
And there's
they're
more
just
to come. I mean,
trying to keep the
this week-
focus on us.
And there's more to come. Maine state track meets this week, which means Soren Stark Chessa is gonna have to deal with protesters and Laurel Libby and that nonsense.
Yeah.
I hope she wins big, though.
Steph, I think you're muted.
I think I am. We tend to be a little less demonstrative, although there are loudmouths even in the great state of Maine. We'll see, but
Well, I'll say it right now.
But all I will say is that these kids are badass. They show a lot of moxie, as we say up here. Birthplace of moxie, of course, is Lisbon Falls, Maine. But they show so much spirit and actually so much joy. They wouldn't be doing this if they didn't love it. They wouldn't be putting up with it if they didn't really care for it. And I think that speaks to how so many of us approach life. I didn't transition to win a pickle dish. I transitioned to be myself. I didn't transition for anyone else but me. I didn't, I wouldn't even say that I made a decision. I just was, and I had to be. And I really appreciate that people cannot understand why that is or why that was for me. I do appreciate that. But what I don't understand is the hostility. What I don't understand is why somebody shouldn't be joyful and supportive of, like, hey, that's what you need to do. By all means, I'm with you. And when someone says, I have your back, that's what I expect that to mean. I don't expect it to be some mealy-mouthed support and a bunch of backbiting bullshit in the back room. That's not it. And to be honest, what I see in the culture these days is the backbiting shit in the back room far more than the support. And that's sad. And it's funny that that I'm seeing that today when I didn't see that 27 years ago when I transitioned. It's really funny and really sad. I feel both proud of the young folks who do have that moxie and are showing it wherever they are, whether it's in drama or whether it's on the race course or whether it's in history or physics or any place these young kids are being their true selves and have the grace to be there, because God knows I never had that grace. Not when I was a child, not when I was a teenager. That wasn't the thing. And this is what these guys want to do. They want to turn it back to the times that I was growing up. and they want to take away the possibilities of an entire life, of a full life, being who you are. I think it's sad. And I do think that I think it's also, I'm sorry, I'm rambling on a wee bit here.
Oh,
I think
Go right ahead.
I think it's also really fucking sad that all of the news, Bre, you know, on the screenshot, all of the news about us is coming from right-wing sources.
That's why I put that up there. I need people to know. That's the thumbnail.
Right.
Yeah.
All of that news, all of this stuff, most people are getting their information about trans lives from right-wing sources. And it, you know, and the algorithm feeds that. We've seen, you know, people, there's been a recent controversy, or, well, I don't know, a bit of a dust up. I, like I said earlier in the program, I've been trying to stay away from internet drama, but there's been recent internet drama about people just bending to the algorithm. It's like, hey, I don't want to be an outspoken supporter of trans people, or I don't want to be a social justice warrior, because the algorithm, to be honest, folks, does not like anybody who any channel that's putting out a point of view that is to the left
Doesn't
of
like
Gerald
us.
Ford. You know, it doesn't like us very much. Which is why we appreciate you guys in the chat, and we really count on you to build us up. You know, like us, subscribe, do all of the things, leave us comments, do everything you possibly can to influence the algorithm, so that if you like our voices, if you think that we have something decent to say, help us out here. I don't need to do this. I don't think Bre needs to do this. I don't think Karleigh needs to do this. We don't do this for fun. We do it because we think it's important for trans voices to speak to trans issues.
There's a lot of bad information out there.
Well, I'll tell you, I enjoy doing this. I have fun doing this, but it's for a serious purpose. And we need you to affect that algorithm. We really need you to. Because
well, Al Gore doesn't have much rhythm, but you know, hey, let's go with Al Gore rhythm.
But as we saw this past weekend, even when there's no choice for most of the mainstream media to cover the story, they're not willing to dig into the story. I mean, these people, I mean, they weren't willing to say why they weren't willing to ask the CIF the hard questions. Why this policy? Why now? This kid last year, you didn't need this, and this kid was third. Now that this kid's good and winning, I mean, no one's going to ask that question. Not even the world's biggest sports network, who did not cover the story. ESPN used a wire service. They didn't send reporters out there to see what's going on. I mean, no sports channel
which, of course, you mean your former employer.
But I look at people but on the other hand, you need, outside of Bill Oram from the Oregonian, who we talked about in the segment, and another exception I want to point out, the sports desk from the San Francisco Chronicle. They had 3 reporters covering the meet, and they did an excellent job of actually covering the story, of actually covering
that's great.
all these things.
That really is great.
But part of the reason why is this is the importance of having people like you and I in the room where it happens, because you have Christina Carl as the executive sports editor of the San Francisco Chronicle. That's why you're having the coverage that you're having, because there's a trans person running the show. That's the main reason why you have it.
Right.
because
I mean,
she's there.
and that's why it's a really difficult. It's playing the balance of sitting in the room, sitting in the judge's room, right? For U.S. sailing or something like this. I mean, being an actual race official and stuff, I do get to have these conversations, and sometimes it's a delicate balance because it's like some people know I'm trans and some people don't, and it's like I'm really there to talk about the racing rules of sailing, not about trans issues, right? I'm there to talk about how to build the sport. And one way I don't think you build the sport is by excluding people.
True.
I don't think you build anything by excluding people. I think you build a stronger foundation in any enterprise when you are inclusive and bend your mind around the way different people live their lives. You build a bigger tent. You build a bigger, more comfortable tent by doing that. And it's very frustrating. It's so
Immensely.
frustrating. So
Immensely.
I don't know. This has been a great show. I
enjoyed it.
hope-
Good stuff all the way
I
around.
hope, yeah, I hope everybody who picks up on us later on or who watch the show thinks it's worthwhile and will be willing to support us.
Hopefully.
That said,
Yeah. Good night.
Hi, everyone.
I guess that means I gotta hit the button. I'm gonna hit the
time.
button. Good night, everybody.